Hi. For those of you I didn't get to introduce myself to, I'm Dr. Nicole Goddard. I'm one of the sports medicine physicians with Beacon, and I'm also very passionate about yoga. And I have a 200-hour, working on my 300-hour, and special training in chair yoga. So I really love chair yoga. I've had a couple knee surgeries myself, and I find this very helpful, but it's also great if you find yourself in a situation where you're sitting for most of the day. Even if you're sitting watching something, there's some takeaways here. If you start to feel uncomfortable in your chair, just remember, some of these poses. And I gave you a little handout that has a flow as well. So you can always go back through those and say, what here speaks to me, during whatever activity you're in. So we're just gonna start with these balls. And again, this is something, these are stress balls, but you can use like a yoga therapy ball, a tennis ball, also like a lacrosse ball. And we call this self-myofascial release. So your fascia lays over your muscles. It can get really tight. So some people say, I stretch, don't feel like I got anything out of it. And I say, well, it could be your fascia. And so ever so slightly, you can just practice this just by very gently rolling over your muscles. And you can use this on any muscle. For the purpose of today, we're just going to use it kind of on the quads here. It's accessible. But you can put the ball behind your shoulder, and you can rub against the wall. So let's say you can't get down on the floor to rub your shoulder, or you can't reach a certain place, you can go up against the wall and put the ball there and then lean against the ball to rub that area out as well. So just gentle pressure, and then along the side we have our IT band, which can get painful, especially if we have knee or hip issues. For those of you who might have had like a knee replacement, a couple months in, sometimes you start to get tight along this IT band, and just rolling out this IT band can help quite a bit. This is also really good practice for sleep. So if you find that you just can't get relaxed, I'll also show you breathing technique, but this is really good to kind of relax the tissues and get some lymph flowing for sleep. And if you haven't moved over to the other side, you can go ahead and move over to the other side, and just you can use the palm and just gently circle around on that tissue. And the only thing you want to avoid is like your organs. You just don't want to push too hard there. Or if you really feel like a bony prominence and it's tender, so sometimes up here, way down here on your knee, that might be a little tender, but if you stay in the muscle, and that should feel pretty good. And like I said, you can use it anywhere, but especially if you've had like a sprain or strain, just kind of gently rubbing over the tissue or an area where you've had surgery, and if it gets really tight, this is really nice little motion on top of that tissue. Yeah. And like I said, you can use it anywhere, but for today, we'll just kind of stay up here on the quads. And then we're gonna take the ball and put it underneath our foot. We're just gonna start rolling forwards and backwards. That is the thing about a ball will roll. And this is also really good if you've had plantar fasciitis, or if you notice you wake up and your feet feel really tight just in the morning, to just rub a ball underneath your foot. And a little trick here, this is the only time I say use a golf ball, but if you put the golf ball in the freezer overnight, and then you get it out in the morning, put on a sock, but use that to roll out your foot. I don't really like the golf ball other places because it can be a little too much pressure, but this is really good. It really gets into the fascia, and we tend to forget our toes and our feet. And so it's a nice way to start the morning. And then once you're done with one side, you can roll it over to the other side and just forwards and backwards. And for today, we're not going to do this practice, but don't forget your toes. Like when you're at home, you can weave your fingers in through your toes. And if you'd like to do that today, that's okay, but some of us are in socks, so we'll stay with just the ball. But you can weave your fingers in through your toes and kind of pull your toes forwards and backwards, just to give them a little bit of a massage. And then once you feel like you've gotten a good little massage there, we will focus on the toes just for a minute, and even if you're in socks, that's okay. These are called toe dexterity exercises, and we just practice lifting the big toe up off the ground while keeping the small toes down. And as you can see, I can do it on one foot and not the other, so it's a practice, right? We're not perfect. And then we let it down, and then we lift the big toe up and let it down. I've injured this ankle, so that's why I have trouble, but I practice it. And then we lift the big toe up and let it down. And then we raise the small toes while we try to keep the big toe down. Yeah, you feel that it's a little bit of a stretch. Something so small makes such a difference. And then let them down. And then keep the big toes down, lift the small toes up, and let them down. And then big toes down, small toes up, and let them down, yeah. And then we can practice kind of scrunching our toes and letting them release, and scrunching our toes and letting them release. Good job. And now we're just going to practice a little ankle mobility. So we're just going to kind of bring our ankle, pick up our right leg, and bring our toes back towards our knee, and then push down like you're pushing on a gas pedal. And then take your toe in towards midline. Yeah. And now this, if you feel that stretch on the outside here, a lot of people, this is kind of a continuation of that IT band. So even just this, a good little stretch if you have pain that goes on into your calf. And then take your toe out to the side. And this will also stretch your arch. Yeah. And then you can just make nice big circles, one direction, and then the other direction. And if at any point you feel a cramp, that's okay. Cramps are actually our body's way of trying to figure out how much energy do I need to send to do this activity. So it's working through and learning how to do something so that the next time you don't have the cramp and you don't have to think about it so hard. And we'll go ahead and repeat that sequence on the opposite side. We'll just pull our toes back towards our shin. And then we're going to point our toes down towards the floor. And then we're going to bring it back up and take our foot in towards midline. Get a good little stretch. And then out towards the side. Good. Now we'll give our feet a little bit of a break. We're just going to start with our wrists. We're going to roll out our wrists one direction. And then the other direction. Good. Then we're just going to shrug our shoulders a little, make some shoulder range of motion. Forwards and backwards. And then this is a little stretch, especially if you've ever had like carpal tunnel issues. We're just going to take our right hand out to the side. Just watch your neighbor. Try to give you some space. Be careful. And you want to keep your wrist at shoulder level, but you can take it back as far as you can without feeling pain, okay? And bring your fingers up towards the ceiling and make sure you keep a nice, big, straight back. And then I invite you to take your opposite ear to your opposite shoulder for a little stretch. Yeah. And if you find that it's too much, you can bring it closer back to midline. And then we're going to bring our head to neutral and our fingers to neutral. And then we're going to take our fingers down and side bend towards. Yeah. And then we're going to come back up to neutral. Good. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. So we're going to take our left hand up and then back with our fingers up. And take your right ear to your right shoulder. Pretty good stretch down that arm. And then head to neutral, fingers to neutral. And then fingers down, side bend towards. Good job, everybody. Okay, yeah. And now we're going to bring both arms out. And if any of this is painful for your shoulders, you don't have to do this. There's always a modification. We're going to cross the right arm over our body. And then bring our left arm underneath it. and bend our elbow for just a good little stretch there. Good. Now this also stretches out your back, so if you notice that you have neck pain or mid-back pain, this is a great little stretch. If you'd like to deepen it, you can bend your right elbow and cross your left arm around, but you don't have to. You don't have to. So you can stay here. And then we're going to go ahead and come out of that one. Cross our left arm over, our right arm underneath, bend our right elbow. A little stretch. Good. You can also, if this bothers your shoulders, you can also just hug your body. It's good throughout the day just to give yourself a little love. Just hug your body. Yeah. And again, if you want to deepen it, you can also bend the left and twist the right one under, but by all means you don't have to. It's just a little eagle variation, yeah. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and let that release. Now we're going to grab our strap. And so for this, you never have to bring your leg any higher than your hip. Your knee really should stay below your hip most of the time, except for a few poses. That's safer for your hip, especially if you've had a knee or hip replacement. So we're going to put the strap around the ball of our foot, and we're just going to extend our knee and pull back just a little bit. And you should feel the stretch underneath your thigh and your hamstring. Yeah. Just be careful. Don't let go and let it help. Yeah. And then I invite you to take the strap, be very careful, in your right hand if you'd like, and we're just going to take it out to the side just a little bit to get a stretch on the inside of our thigh. And then we're going to cross it over. We're going to switch it to our left hand and just ever so slightly across midline so that we get a stretch in that IT band. If you want to deepen that, you can take your foot in like we practiced before and you'll feel it farther down, but you don't have to. Good. And then we'll come back and we'll let that one release. It's easier to bend your knee and stick your other foot in. And same thing, we're just going to extend that leg out, pull our foot back towards us, and stretch our hamstring. So I'll tell some people, keep a band underneath your desk, and then that way when you're working, like you're at your computer, you can grab this, and you can still be part of your meeting, and no one knows. No one knows. And then go ahead and take your strap in your left hand out to the side just a little. You should, again, feel the stretch on the inside. Good. And then we're going to cross it over ever so slightly just to get that IT band. Good. And we'll go ahead and relax. And then another one we're going to try, and I'm going to show you a variation, it's called a knee to chest. And I'm sure people have seen that stretch, but we're going to add in a little circle. So I invite you to bring your knee up towards your chest and hold your knee with your hands. If that's not available to you, you can hold underneath your thigh, or this is a good time, you can use your strap and wrap it around your leg and underneath and hold your thigh up that way. Okay, so I'm going to do it as the variation, and we're just going to make some big circles with our hip. I'm also showing you this in case you have any friends, if you think, well, they can do it, they just need a little variation, So we tend to walk straight during the day, we sit straight during the day, and we don't really ever lubricate our hip joint. And if we lubricate our hip joint, that helps a lot of blood flow all the way down the leg. So we want to oxygenate that tissue. Good. We'll go ahead and let that one release. And we'll bring our left one up, either using your hands or, like I said, we'll wrap the strap around and underneath. And nice big circles. Good? Yeah. Good. go ahead and let that release. Now that we've got everything stretched out, we're going to do a grounding pose called mountain pose. So make sure again that your feet are grounded on the floor, that you feel stable. And as long as it doesn't hurt your shoulders, I invite you to inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale all the way down. And we're going to hold our fingers nice and strong. And this is a really good grounding pose. So you don't have to stand to do mountain pose. You can also do mountain pose sitting. And we're going to practice a little triangle breath. So if you're ever stressed, anxious, or even if you need energy, this can bring you up when you're down. It can take you down when you're up. So we're going to inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and pause for 4 seconds. So I'll talk you through that. I'm going to inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. And pause, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's take a big inhale up overhead. Exhale through center. We're going to practice a little range of motion for our spine now. So we're going to put our hands on our knees. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see my back. But you're going to take a big deep breath in and open through your shoulders. And you're not just moving your neck, you're opening all the way from your tailbone up through your heart. And then when you exhale, you're going to round the spine all the way down. So we're doing a little seated cat-cow. So inhale, open through the chest. Exhale, round, and let it all the way out. Inhale, open. Exhale all the way out. So even if we have like osteoporosis or compression fractures, this is still a safe range of motion because we're controlled and we're strong and we're in one plane. And then exhale all the way out. Good. Now we're going to come back to neutral. Same thing, I want us to remember if we have osteoporosis or history of compression fractures, it's very important that we control our plane of movement in our spine. So we want to maintain a strong, straight spine. And if we're twisting, we want to control the twist. And if we're side bending, we want to control the side bend. The danger zone is when we're kind of side bending and twisting. So we want to make sure we control the planes. So the way I usually do that is inhale, arms all the way up. And when I exhale, I'll take my right hand behind me and I'll anchor it down. And then I'll turn my head to the right as far as it wants to go. And then I only have my thoracic spine as I twist, and I bring my arm down to the outside of my right knee. For the twist, I only have it meet as far as my eyes will go. There you go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. And so that way we know it's safe. We're not forcing our body to go any farther than it wants to. So then we'll inhale, arms back overhead. And let's look first to the left as far as we feel comfortable while keeping a flat back. And we're going to take our left hand behind us and our right hand to the outside of our left knee for a little twist. Good. And then inhale, back overhead. Good, everybody. And then we'll bring our hands back through heart center. All right. Now we're going to do a little bit more movement with our lower extremities, okay? So as we're moving around the chair, just make sure that you feel grounded and you're not off balance. And if you need a little help, just raise your hand, okay? So what we're going to start by doing is come to the edge of the chair. But again, make sure you stay grounded and feel supported. And we're just gonna walk our right leg out to the side as far as it wants to go. If we can get that right leg straight, wonderful. If it's bent, wonderful. All of it's okay. And we're gonna incorporate a few movements that we've done here. So we're gonna inhale the arms overhead. And this time when we exhale, we're gonna bring our right arm to the side of our right thigh and ever so slightly just lean towards that right leg. There you go. Big deep breath in and out. Good. Inhale the arms back overhead. So this is a little triangle variation. We're gonna crawl the right leg back in. And then we're going to crawl the left leg out. Everything that we do in yoga, if it's available to our body, we want to do it on each side. Make sure we have space. And then exhale the left arm down and slight side bend towards that left leg. Good. You got it, you got it. And you should feel a really good stretch on the inside of the thigh. Yeah. Good, then we're gonna come back overhead, arms down through center as we crawl that leg in. This pose is gonna be on the side of the chair. It's a warrior one variation, so we might have to anchor here if you don't feel supported. We're gonna come to the right side, to our right side, the left side of the chair, and we're either gonna step or crawl the left foot back. So we're gonna start to bring it behind the chair for a little bit of a warrior one variation. This is where I was saying, sometimes chair yoga, it's definitely tough. Yeah, you feel that? And what we're gonna practice doing is bending and straightening into our back leg, okay? This is also a really good glute workout, so you don't have to do squats. You can get it this way too. So bend and straighten into our back leg. If you want to practice a little balance here, you can bring the arms up overhead and you can hold that pose. Good. And then we'll exhale the arms down. And just to give our feet a little love, because sometimes we don't do this, but we're going to bring the back of our foot onto the ground and push in a little. Yeah. Feel that stretch, yeah. So especially in the summer when we're wearing flip-flops, don't forget those toes. And if you want, you can put your toes down and bend forward a little, and that's a pretty good stretch too. But if that's too much, that's okay. Okay. And then we're gonna
Do you have all this written down in the sheet?
So this pose I actually do. The bio card. There's a QR code, and I have 3 yoga videos.
Oh, good.
That's
okay.
one of them. Yeah.
Great.
And then we're gonna come back up to center. And like I said, we have to do everything on the other side. We got another side, so we're gonna scoot over to the other side.
And you can also go to Cincinnati
The sports club.
Their website,
And
the
you'll-
YouTube
this will be
channel.
on there.
Yeah. And then we're gonna walk the right leg back. Again, whatever's comfortable for your body. If you're here, that's okay too. If you wanna walk back and try to straighten, you can. And we're just gonna bend and straighten into that back leg. There you go. We can practice a little balance on this side. I see some faces stretching. Everybody okay? Good, okay. Good, and then back through heart center. And then, like I said, if you want, if it's comfortable for this stretch, we're gonna put the back of our foot, we call this the dorsal side of the foot on the ground. And then if you wanna give your toes a little stretch, you can put your toes on the ground and bend. Good, and then we'll come back up, okay.
Can we just take you home with us?
Okay. Now we're going to try a little warrior 2 variation. So this one's a little bit like the triangle pose, but we're going to try to take our front knee out to the side. So with that one, again, come to the edge. We're going to crawl our right leg out, and then we're going to start to turn our left knee out. And make sure that you're supported on the chair. the goal is to try to get the heel in line with the arch, but I say the goal is just to feel the pose, see what your body's telling you, where you feel the stretch, keep a nice, big, strong spine, and then we're gonna extend our arms out like we did earlier, and we're gonna look towards that left hand out there, yeah. And then we're gonna take a big inhale, and we're gonna do a reverse warrior. We're gonna take our right hand to our back leg, there you go, yeah. And we're gonna inhale over, sort of like the one we did earlier, just a little bit extra. And then we're gonna exhale back to warrior two. And we're gonna inhale for a little side angle, so we're gonna rest our forearm on our thigh as we bring our right arm over. And try not to cave into this, try to keep a big, strong spine. If you want a little extra challenge, you can imagine you're holding a beach ball. That's a good little core work there. Yeah. If that doesn't speak to you, you can just kind of rest in this side angle. Good. And then we'll come back up to our warrior two. Bring our hands to heart center, and then we'll crawl those both back in. Like I said, we have another side, so we're going to crawl out the left side. We're going to turn our right leg out to our knees. Everybody's knees kind of go in a different direction. So we're going to circle, but knee out to the side, and then we're going to extend those arms out and look over our right hand. Big line of energy, and we'll take a big deep breath here and just let your shoulders relax. Good. There you go. And try to bring the tips of those shoulder blades together. Nice. And then our next inhale, we're going to take our left hand down our left leg, extend the right arm over. High, high, good. Keep breathing. That's the one rule of yoga. And then exhale the right forearm down to the right knee and bring that right arm over. There you go. Sorry, left arm. There you go. Good. And like I said, if you want a little core work, you can lift that right arm up, act like you're holding a beach ball. And then exhale, we're going to come back up to center. Good, back to our center and crawl it back in. All right, now this is everybody's favorites. If you want, we're going to practice a little squat, okay? And the reason why I like this one is because this is really the most important movement that you keep throughout life, because this helps you get up off of the bathroom. Okay, so we're going to ground in, and we're just going to practice lifting up and then squatting back down. Good. Make sure you know where your chair is. You okay? Then we're going to lift up, squat back down. All right, we only have 15 more to go. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And we're going to stand up. Okay, and then come back down. All right. This one we are going to do a little standing variation. So when we come up, good, we're going to come to the back of our chairs. I'm going to turn mine. Make sure everybody has room. And this is just a little downward dog variation. So especially if you did yoga, but you say it's hard for me to do yoga now because of my wrist, you can always modify. And so what we're going to do is put our hands on the back of the chair, and we're just going to start to walk back. And as we walk back, we really want to be mindful of our spine, and we want to try to keep a flat back. And we don't want to be too far forward or too far back. We want to try to stay neutral, and we're just going to sink in and get a good stretch in our back. We're going to go ahead and come up. Good. And we're going to walk back up. So if you have access to a table, that's a great little pose to do throughout the day. And you can also crawl over to one side and crawl over to the other side for a side stretch. Now we're going to practice a little balancing, okay? This is a tree pose. So if anybody feels like they need more than the chair, you can use the wall. And if it's not speaking to you, feel free to sit down and I'll show you how to do it in the chair as well. But if you think you're okay standing, we're going to hold on to the chair with our right hand. And then we're going to lift our left leg just to where we're on our toes. And this is a fine tree. This is actually a really good balance pose. And what you're trying to do here is pull up through the whole right side of the body. So this is also really good for your glutes. And if you'd like, you can rotate and turn your left leg out to where your heel's against your shin like a kickstand. And if you want to grow your tree, you can put your foot on your shin. And a little extra challenge, you can lift your left arm up. Yeah. We can always build on this, but this is probably as far as we're going to go for space purposes today. We're going to go ahead and come back down, and we'll practice on the other side. So we'll turn this way so you all can still see me. Try to keep your head above your heart, okay? So the variation for that would look like here, and then down, and then when we lift halfway, you would come back down and up. So that would be safe, okay? But if you would like to deepen it, what we'll do is we'll inhale the arms overhead, exhale, forward fold all the way down as far as you'd like to go for your body. And some people, your hands might touch the ground, some might not, and that's okay. Then we're going to inhale, halfway lift up, and bring our hands up our shin. And then exhale down, and then inhale all the way back up. Good. And we'll bring our hands through heart center. Then inhale all the way up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Hands all the way out. Inhale, halfway lift with those hands on the shin. Good. Exhale, back down. Inhale all the way up. Good. Hands back through center. Good. Okay. Now we'll do a little seated pigeon variation, or what we call figure 4. And so this is going to be a little different for everyone. So I'll show you the first variation. You can extend the left leg to where the heel is still on the floor. And you're going to cross your right ankle over your left shin. So especially if you've had a hip replacement and you're within like 3 or 4 months, this is probably where you want to be. This is as far as we want to go for this one, okay? What you can do from here to deepen it in a safe way is hinge forward. And you'll feel the stretch in a few different places. Then we're going to go ahead and come back up. Now, if it speaks to your body and you would like to try it, you can raise your heel above your knee and bend your left knee. And this is a deeper stretch into that deep thigh muscle. And then we can hinge forward. And we just want to make sure that we're protecting our hip as we do so. Come back up. Good. And we'll extend the left leg, slide our right leg down, and come back to neutral. And then we'll practice on the right side. And some people are different. On different sides, you might be able to get one side up and one side not, and that's okay. So we'll cross the left ankle over the right leg. Yeah, you're good. And we'll let that left leg, if your body is asking for the stretch, out to the side and hinge forward. We'll come back up. Good. And again, if you'd like to deepen it, you can raise that right ankle above the right knee, bend the right knee. And then we're going to lean forward again. Good. All the way back up. Okay. Carefully. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to try a little seated bound angle just as we start to cool down our practice. So bring the palmar or the soles of the feet together and just let your knees fall out. And this is a good little stretch for the knees. And we're going to revisit that triangle breath here and see how you feel after going through a little bit of a flow. So we're going to bring our hands by our side, nice and powerful. We're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go ahead and bring our knees back together. And here's where you can sit back in your chair, whatever's comfortable. If you are comfortable, you can close your eyes at this point. This is our seated savasana practice. So if you've ever been in yoga where they kind of lay down at the end, this is how we're going to replicate that for this practice. So if you'd like to close your eyes, you can. If not, you can leave them open. But this is just some time for yourself. Time to appreciate yourself for coming to class tonight, for some of you trying something new or revisiting something that you've tried before. Maybe seeing some friends, getting out on a nice day. I always say set an intention and ask yourself, have I been gentle with myself today? So sometimes we go, and I always ask, have I been gentle with myself today? And if I show myself love, then I'm able to share that love with others. So when you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and toes. And slowly flutter your eyes open. And we'll all take one big inhale overhead. And then exhale our hands through heart center. And I want to thank all of you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.